Will Rahul Gandhi, LOP of India, lose his citizenship? Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Vande Madaram. Several of you have been raising this question with me as to what I have to say on this issue. Now that the redoubtable Dr. Subramanian Swamy has filed a public interest litigation with the Delhi High Court, praying the Honorable Court that Rahul Gandhi's citizenship issue needs to be settled, and that the Home Ministry, which is dragging its feet in this issue, be called upon to explain why it is doing so, and if necessary, sufficient and suitable action be initiated against the Home Ministry. So will Sri Rahul Gandhi, who has by now emerged as the most formidable hindrance in the path of the BJP, be knocked out of the scene altogether? Will he vanish like a pageantry in the clouds? Will he have to leave India and settle down elsewhere? Obviously, these are questions that agitate the minds of many in this country. But I have to say that unlike them, I am not agitated. If Rahul Gandhi doesn't merit the citizenship of India, if he has not valued the citizenship of India, and if he has indeed exchanged it for the citizenship of another country, it is a simple routine procedure that he forfeits his Indian citizenship, because you can't have dual citizenship as yet. Maybe someday a law will come which will allow you to have dual citizenship. But as of now, as per existing rules or laws of the country, such a possibility doesn't exist, and therefore, if you voluntarily embrace citizenship of another country, you automatically forfeit the citizenship of India. By that logic, according to Dr. Subramanian Swamy, Rahul Gandhi has become or did become the citizen of another country. Which country doesn't matter, another country, and therefore his citizenship needs to be cancelled, and with all the consequences that follow from therefrom. So this is the sum and substance of the case, or the prayer with which Dr. Swamy has approached the Honorable High Court of Delhi. Now, as I said, I am not worried about it. I never thought that this was an issue to which I have to devote even a minute of my time, because for me this is a non-issue. However, since this has come out and everybody is talking about it and many people feel concerned about it, some people feel anxious about it, I still have to make my opinion clear on the matter, even if I don't feel concerned or anxious about it. The first thing I have to say to everyone is, please don't feel anxious about any routine matter. There are certain well-set procedures, and if the procedure is incurred, it must proceed to its logical conclusion. It doesn't matter who incurs that procedure. All citizens must be treated as equal. There cannot be a separate provision for Rahul Gandhi or Amit Shah or Narendra Modi or Adani or Ambani. Somehow Indians can never get out of their hierarchical mindset, which really disappoints me a lot. We cannot believe that two people should be seen alike from the eye of the law. And unless and until we exorcise ourselves of this demon of inequality and hierarchical mindset that has taken possession of us, we really cannot become a modern democratic society in spirit. In letter, of course, we are a democratic polity, but our mindset is not democratic. This is what I have to say. And as I have argued on many other occasions, the main reason why we find it so hard to be democratic is that we are too incorrigible in our religiosity. Religion is by definition hierarchical, and therefore the more religious you are, the more undemocratic you become, the more anti-egalitarian you become, and the more addicted to the hierarchical, discriminative attitude to life by which people insist on being treated unequally. And they derive a great sense of affirmation, pride, or acknowledgement by being treated higher than others or treated differently to others. So actually we find pride and delight in inequality rather than equality. And this is a very serious problem. We need to become aware of this. And I say it again because it's my absolute conviction, we cannot really become sincere in our profession of commitment to inequality unless and until we become seriously critical of our religiosity. Because the root of inequality lies in religion. It doesn't matter which religion. All religions are alike in this respect. They are the nurseries of inequality. They are the nurseries of the hierarchical mindset. However, since that is not my main subject here, let me not go too much in that direction. Now, first of all, why is it that Dr. Subramanian Swamy, for whom, as I have indicated on other occasions, I do have a fair degree of appreciation for the encyclopedic knowledge he has, if not for the ways in which he deploys or uses his knowledge. I appreciate his achievements, if not his advocacies all the time. So I speak as someone who is not negative or prejudiced against Subramanian Swamy. But facts are facts, and I have to mention certain facts to you. The obvious fact, which is well known to every Indian who is anywhere, anyhow, in any manner touched with the national scenario. The most basic fact about Dr. Subramanian Swamy is that he is now languishing in a state of crisis of relevance. Subramanian Swamy, for good reasons, has an exalted image of himself. He thinks very highly of himself, and he has good reasons, I must say in all sincerity, he has good reasons to think highly of himself. After all, he was a Harvard professor. He is a very sound, if not somewhat skewed, economics brain. He was a law minister of India. He is a very experienced parliamentarian, politician, public figure. He is perhaps one of the foremost advocates for the Hindu cause. At least he has stationed or positioned himself in that slot. And he has many, many things to his credit. I don't have to go on presenting a list, biodata on Swamy. Even though he often comes through as a person who is anti-Muslim, Islamophobia, the fact is that his daughter married a Muslim, about which he doesn't seem to have any complaint. So he hasn't really beaten his breast about love jihad, unlike some of the bishops, a couple of bishops in Kerala. So as compared to my bishops, he is far more open-minded, Catholic, tolerant, and all that. So I give him credit for that either. Suhashini Haidar is Subramanian Swamy's daughter, and she's a very, very respected, very sound journalist. We all respect her, and we have all benefited from her writings. I have benefited from some of Subramanian Swamy's videos, speeches, etc. So to that extent, I am grateful to him also. But then the fact is that ever since Sri Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister of India, so to be precise from 2014 onwards, Dr. Swamy had been feeling sidelined and slighted. For Dr. Swamy, for a person of his ego, to be sidelined is to be slighted. To be not recognized as he thinks he deserves to be recognized is to be insulted. So, at the same time, very few people in the inner circle of the BJP party trust him. This I know for a fact. I've discussed this matter with some BJP people who really matter, people who are very close to the nucleus of power. They all say, yes, he's a very useful man. We can use him against X, Y, and Z, particularly against the Gandhi family, Sonia Gandhi, so on and so forth. He is very, very useful in that respect, but he is not trustworthy. He is not someone that Modi would trust even for a minute. Unfortunately, Dr. Subramanian Swamy also knows this. And of late, he has been speaking loud and clear about it. That's the reason why I'm mentioning it. I'm not saying this in there. I'm saying this based on the statements that Dr. Swamy has made in public. He thought that he would be the Finance Minister of India, and before the ministry was formed, he made several very attractive statements. For example, he said that if he is made the Finance Minister of India, he would so strengthen the Indian rupee that a dollar will not ever be more than 50 rupees. Today it is almost pushing 90. He said that he would sell oil at 50 rupees per liter, and so on and so forth. He promised a new economic heaven for India. But all that promise fell on deaf ears, and somebody else became the finance minister. Even after that finance minister left, Subramanian Swamy's turn did not come. So he got increasingly embittered, and he has of late been particularly immoderate and rather impertinent in his statements about Sri Narendra Modi. And at the same time, he realizes that even that trick will not work, because what happens in politics and in public life in general is, if someone proves himself a nuisance, then that person's mouth is shut, or strategically attempted to be shut, by giving him some plum posting somewhere. He is accommodated somewhere where his ego is slightly appeased. But unfortunately for Dr. Subramanian Swamy, even that marginal casual courtesy has not been extended to him. He was nominated to the Rajya Sabha, and of course Dr. Swamy, who had been the Law Minister of India, does not think that a nomination to the Rajya Sabha is a great a sign of recognition of his merit. Rather, he would have felt all the more slighted. Anyway, that's his lookout. So now, as far as Dr. Subramanian Swamy is concerned, he has a very urgent and imperious need, and that is the need to invent his own relevance. The question is, how can he do so? The only way, let me say this to you, the only way Dr. Subramanian Swamy can now invent and advertise his relevance is by once again by reinventing himself as the staunchest, most capable, most deadly enemy to the Nehru-Gandhi Parivar. Why? Because Rahul Gandhi has attained the kind of national eminence, acceptance, respect, people's trust and affection that actually seems nightmarish from the perspective of the BJP. Rahul Gandhi has now become a riddle that the BJP simply does not know how to unravel. So, a very multi-pronged, orchestrated campaign of vilification has been launched against Rahul Gandhi, which includes, among other things, juicy stories like Rahul Gandhi has a family somewhere out there whether it is in Italy or Venezuela, or in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or whether it is in North Korea, or in Upper Burma, or in, where is it, the backyard of nowhere, nobody knows. But he has a wife and a 19-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. Now, who these people are, Rahul Gandhi himself will not be able to tell you. In this context, let me recall a story, not story, something that actually happened. The first moderator of the Church of North India was a bishop called Bishop Eric Nasser. Eric Nasser was a celibate. He did not marry. He did not marry for the simple reason that he was a homosexual. And I know this for a fact because he came and stayed in St. Stephen's College and created enough headache for the people in college because of this problem. Now, he remained unmarried. But he was also very popular. And he was very popular among the ambassadors and high commissioners. In Delhi, it's not very difficult to cultivate ambassadors and high commissioners. Then you get invited to some of these very posh parties, and then you have a nice feeling, feel good factor, etc. So one day, the British High Commissioner, the British High Commissioner is particularly sort of inclined towards Church of North India and even St. Stephen's College, because St. Stephen's was founded by the Cambridge missionaries. So when Prince Charles visited Delhi, the British High Commissioner was particularly keen that he should visit St. Stephen's, and I remember that visit. All that's fine. So the High Commissioner, in order to be courteous to the bishop, said, "Bishop, I would like to meet your honorable wife." So Bishop Nasser said to the High Commissioner, "I would like to meet her too." See, it's something like that. If you ask Rahul Gandhi, "Where is your wife? Where are your children aged 19 and 17? He simply will not be able to help you because of the situation being what it is. So what I'm saying is a very, very desperate orchestrated campaign of vilification in order to alienate Rahul Gandhi from the affection of the people of India is very seriously and furiously afoot. So then this particular initiative on the part of Dr. Subramanian Swamy will complement that beautifully. Well, here is a man who is not even an Indian. Why are you making such a big fuss about him? He's a nobody to you. Now, how this case will pan out, we'll have to wait and see. As far as I am concerned, all I can say is that Dr. Subramanian Swamy, apart from being a man of encyclopedic knowledge, is also a man with a sound sense of humor. And this is a piece of his humor, typically Subramanian Swamy brand of humor. Let us ask ourselves, who is Rahul Gandhi? He is the son of the first Prime Minister of India. He is a great-grandson of the first Prime Minister of India. He is a grandson of another Prime Minister. He is a son of another Prime Minister, right? He has been voting for the last 30 years or more. He has been a member of Parliament for now 20 years. He is today the leader of the opposition. All this while, there was no problem with his citizenship. How come that suddenly there is a big issue about his citizenship? Let me now give you a comparable situation. One of the charges leveled against Mother Teresa was that she was not a citizen of India. And she had actually become a naturalized citizen of India. She was not a born citizen of India. There are several ways by which you can acquire citizenship. So when Mother Teresa was continuously vilified on this count, ridiculing her, reviling her, discrediting her, on the ground that she is not a born citizen of India, she said, which is more sincere? Being born a citizen is an automatic thing. There is no deliberate choice in this. Anybody can be born a citizen simply by the fact of being born in India. Whereas if someone were to become a citizen of India by choice, that shows a far greater affirmation and an informed choice than the automatic procedure of being born in India and therefore becoming a citizen of India. Well, anyway, that put paid to the great strategy to discredit Mother Teresa on the basis of her overseas birth. And this campaign was initiated and sustained for a period of time against Sonia Gandhi, just to demoralize her at the time when she could well have been the Prime Minister of India. I'm afraid it has had an impact on her, and I know this for a fact. But all this is completely unfair. To understand the hypocrisy of it, just think of the kind of pseudo false euphoria we experienced when a person of very distant Indian origin, Sunak, became the Prime Minister of India. So an Indian born or a person of Indian origin becoming the Prime Minister of India is a great pride for us, even though he never was our citizen. And then, of course, it came to our knowledge that he was not a man of Indian origin. His origin is split between Africa and Pakistan. That ended our excitement. Now, today, Kamala Harris, whom Trump, in the typical Trumpian fashion, calls in a distorted manner Kamala Harris, for reasons that are too obvious to need any comment from me. She is poised to become, at least she has a 49% chance as of now, to become the President of the United States. Oh, we will go to town with it. An Indian person of Indian origin has become the most powerful lady in the world. Now, we should actually protest. We must register a protest with all Americans. How dare you demean yourself to the extent of accepting a lady of Indian origin? Her mother was born in India. How dare you accept such a person as your potential president? But no, that is a great thing for us. That is like India conquering the world. Whereas a person within a distant connection, overseas connection, becoming a political inconvenience. Now, this hypocrisy is too obvious. It is no longer a decent thing to repeat this very stupid thing. Let's be honest. Let's get real. Let's respect ourselves. So, at any rate, all these things don't apply to Rahul Gandhi. He was born here. His father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, his grandfather's ancestors were all born here. So, it is much about nothing, but it is calculated, or it is meant to serve a particular purpose, or two purposes. One is, personally, Dr. Swamy thinks that through this he will somehow manage to secure his rehabilitation within the BJP and Sangh Parivar camp. As far as this BJP is concerned, they think that by dragging Rahul Gandhi to the court, his public credibility, his growing popularity, the wider respect that he incrementally commands day by day, and can be controlled, and he can be, to an extent at least, demoralized. Because after all, morale matters a lot in public life. So these are certainly calculations that are playing in this very interesting, humorous, I would say, humorous development. I think as Indians, from now onwards, we have to develop a sense of humor. Because, as Gandhi said, if you don't develop a sense of humor, you could lose your sanity. Gandhi said, but for my sense of humor, but for my capacity to see the lighter side of life, the capacity also to laugh at myself, I would have become a madman. And it is a known thing in the theory of laughter that humor is the only medium available to human beings to relate to unpleasant, traumatic and harsh realities without feeling too shocked and too unnerved. So, humor is the buffer that we need between us and harsh realities, so that we can still be in touch with reality and at the same time do not feel too traumatized and crippled on account of that. The other alternative is to go into complete denial, which also doesn't help very much. So I think in the days ahead, we are going to need a far greater degree of the sense of humor than we managed with so far. And that is something that I've learned from Charles Dickens also. The kind of unique humor, black humor, that Dickens developed because he had a very traumatic childhood. And from the eye of the traumatized child, Dickens looked at the Victorian society and brought out its inherent contradictions, its hypocrisies, its injustice, the cruelties that were inflicted on children, over which a very fashionable, affluent, civilized society lived in great comfort without the pang of conscience. And in this context, I'm reminded of a statement, I think, by Pip in Great Expectations, recalling the deprivation in which he spent his boyhood days. He says, in those days, I was fed on those obscure parts of the pig's anatomy, of which the pigs, while alive, were not very proud. I hope you understand that. I'll repeat that. In those days, in my childhood days, I was fed on those obscure parts of the pig's anatomy. You can imagine what those obscure parts are, or obscure parts of the pig's anatomy on which the living pig was not very proud. So that's a sense of humor that Dickens, the dark sense of humor that he developed. So anyway, is Rahul Gandhi going to lose his citizenship? Rest assured, it's not going to happen. It's not meant to happen. It is just an exercise, as far as Dr. Swamy is concerned, to try, if possible, to rehabilitate himself. And the political calculation behind it is that it may serve, at least for a while, to sow the seeds of doubt about Rahul Gandhi's authenticity in the minds of the millions of people who today hold him dear to their heart. But I can tell you, in terms of the responses that I am sampling from people in diverse parts of India, different walks of life, different religions, so on and so forth, the attachment that people feel to Rahul Gandhi is so sincere, so intense, so deep, that no legal rigmarole is going to dampen it. So this will prove a damn squib, mark my words. So I don't intend to follow up on what's going to happen by way of litigation in the Delhi High Court. As far as I'm concerned, it's an open and shut case. Therefore, may I request all those who are members of this YouTube fellowship to rest assured that this is just a storm in the teacup. There's not even a storm in the teacup. This is a small flea in the teacup. That's all. So, goodbye and see you soon.